Is this thing on? Yes, it is. Welcome to another edition of the Scoff Chronicles with your host, the Black Ron Burgundy Smooth Guy O. And today's guest is a monumental one because, granted, I normally talk about basketball, but we switching over to soccer, and we have the latest edition of Sean John, my guy, all-star goalie himself. Sean Johnson's in the building. How's it going today, man?
What's good, bro? I'm good.
That's good. That's good.
Yes, sir. It's good to be in the house.
Man, I've been paying attention to your game as of lately, and you've been killing it.
I've been trying to, man. That's the New York pressure, man. You got to keep your game up. Now we've had a ton of games.
Yeah.
Crazy season so far. A lot going on, but with all that distraction, you got to keep things going, man.
Speaking of the season and distractions and whatnot, you're doing an excellent job of doing that because as of lately, I've seen that you're getting a lot of praise regarding towards your international play.
Yeah.
Especially with that game in which you, granted, it was a 0-0 draw with Uruguay and whatnot, but a lot of people is pretty much saying that performance alone solidified you as like a starting goalkeeper for Team USA. With that kind of momentum, what's some of the different approach you're bringing to the table and not only solidify a starting role in the team, but to make sure you play a major role in leading the team to like a World Cup goal?
Yeah, that's a good one. So with international soccer, so that's kind of the mecca, right?
Right.
When you're growing up, you got your hopes, your dreams, and you're seeing Team USA, right? And me personally, so my parents are from Jamaica, so I was first generation in the States, and then so my parents, Jamaica was something special to them, but I have something special for me too with the States here. So getting my first opportunity to play with the national team, probably like 10, 11 years ago. I'm getting old now. But it was dope. So been a part of this group. This is a different group from the last time the team didn't qualify for the World Cup in 2018.
Right.
New cycle, new players, but this is an opportunity that a lot of fresh players were getting opportunities, and that happened to be my opportunity against one of the best opponents in the world. So
Right.
0-0, but shutout means I was doing my thing.
That's what it's all about.
Now the guys held it down in front of me. A real solid performance, but ultimately you want to be putting those performances in a World Cup year, which we're in now. So definitely had a little bit of special meaning to it, more so than your average international game. But
Right.
yeah, man, it was a proud moment. Had my family there too, so yeah, support team.
That's dope right there. That's dope. Now, as you playing one of the most primary positions in soccer, which is goalkeeper, it's been years where I pay attention to the sport of soccer. There's not a lot of black goalkeepers. Like I want to say the most recent or most famous one that I pretty much recognized was Tim Howard, in which he had a legendary career. Can you give me like an insight on the challenges you have to face in making sure that you prove these scouts and coaches that you belong to out there as a starter for this team?
Yeah, it's funny you say that, man. I think when you talk about soccer, especially in this country, being a black soccer player and a goalkeeper, you want to be an inspiration for the youth. And funny story about Tim Howard. So you mentioned Tim being a black goalkeeper that sticks out. He's actually instrumental. Not many people know this. I haven't really shared this story, but early on in my career, my first I would say like 2, 3, 4 years in the league, I would go and stay with Tim in England.
Really?
Yeah, so he was looking out for me as the next generation, opened up his doors so I can go see what it was like to play at that level, to be around.
That's dope.
You know what I mean? So
yeah.
So he was definitely can't give him enough credit for what he did for me, and him giving me that gave me the ability to see, like this is dope. So he can pave the way, but I was able to kind of get into his life and live his life. So
Right.
if I can do that for the youth here, you know what I mean? That says a lot. So. It's definitely a lot to be an inspiration, and if I can just make the community know that it's possible, because soccer's not that predominant in the black community, especially here in the States. So cool story, but it's definitely dope to be in the position to do that.
And speaking of inspiring the next generation, I'm glad you mentioned that. I want to tap into pretty much the demographic of black Americans playing the game of soccer in America. I did some research, and only 4% of black Americans are interested in soccer. Like, how did this dynamic affect your childhood, which made you the man you are today, even the soccer star you are today?
Yeah, man. So with the soccer landscape in the country, we like to say pay to play is what the system has been, and it's been expensive to get into the game. So you can't just pick up a basketball and go hoop in the gym or hoop after school usually. Same with football. That's kind of what you grow up doing.
Right.
You either play basketball, you play football.
Right.
Some people play baseball, but soccer was just kind of that like unknown thing. But it was like the kids across town were playing soccer, but a lot of kids didn't really have the money to really get into the sport. So
Right.
I think now really doing what we can. So we actually myself and a bunch of other players in our league got together, started an organization called Black Players for Change, and the whole the idea behind the organization coming together first was in a time, with George Floyd and a lot of things happening in the country, which just made us like open our eyes to what we could do to help. First and foremost, use our platform to really push the message and actually really promote change within the league, outside the league, and we could use soccer to do that.
Right.
And part of that is really getting to the community and making access to the game that much more easier. So making it so the kids that couldn't pay, that didn't have access to the game, have access. So we've been on a journey trying to make that happen and really just build, but ultimately give back to the community is what it's all about. So so hopefully we leave it better than we got, you know what I mean? And then ultimately we leave a legacy where, maybe 10 years down the road we can look and say, that 4% number is now got a zero to it, and we're good. Yeah.
That's a dope initiative right there. And I know throughout the process of trying to get that program off the ground, you experienced some frustrations, even throughout your career playing soccer as a kid. Like, what's some of the things you want to eliminate the next generation of potential athletes that's want to get into soccer that that can try to help power through for them to be a lot more inspired to get into the sport? So what's something that you could try to avoid for them to avoid like having the experience that you have dealt with in the past?
Yeah, no doubt. I think the barriers. I mean, you talk about money. You talk about having certain issues growing up. Growing up in the Black community, I think you go through a lot of things, especially maybe not in affluent Black community where there's a lot of money in the community. You run into a lot of things. So we talk about even things like mental health to be able to deal with certain things, because like some kids even get to training practice and they can't even really focus on the game itself because they're dealing with so many things off the field. So that's one thing we try to highlight as well, something I'm pretty passionate about. But other than that, I think there's a lot of barriers within the game that we're trying to knock down. And maybe somebody gets an opportunity because of how they look, how they act, or their connections within the organization they're playing in, things like that. But like ultimately, talent should shine through, and ultimately, kids should be able to enjoy the game for what it is. And we want to make sure that it's a fair and equitable game. You know what I mean? That's what we say. We like to say an equitable stake in whatever it is that kids embark on. And I think that if we can get to that point, I think we'll have done our jobs and really knock down some barriers.
I loved it. I love it, man. Like just hearing this alone, just very inspirational. And yeah, your play is doing much more of the talking. Like I mentioned to you before, you recently selected to the MLS Soccer All-Star team, which will be facing La Liga's All-Star team on August 10th in Minnesota. I had to ask you, you were selected by the commissioner himself. Can you take me down that moment where you was able to get that news to say that, hey, you were selected, handpicked by the commissioner?
Yeah, actually. So I found out through my team telling me that I was selected to the All-Star game, but you really don't know. So there's a fan vote mixed with like player vote.
Right.
There's a coach selection as well, and there's a commissioner's pick. So when they told me, I was hyped. It's my first time being an All-Star, year 13 in the league, just like kind of one of those veteran things that's been on the bucket list for time, and finally getting to achieve that. But then you log on and you start to see the breakdown of who was where, who got voted in, how they got voted in, and then there were two players that were commissioner's picks. So I was like, man, that's an honor to be one of the players that the commissioner said, nah, this guy deserves to be there. Yeah. So definitely dope to be a part of the game, and even better. And then my mom texted me. She dropped me a message just like, yo, like you're the commissioner's pick. I was like, yeah, it's dope.
Did she send any memes, any gifs like, that's my baby, or that's the real MVP kind of vibes, like KD situation?
Yo, my mom is actually, she's just getting like real good with the iPhone now.
Okay,
so like
okay.
She's just getting to be able to use GIFs, and she's still like sending like stickers and like little like copy and paste. Yeah. So when she gets a hold of the GIFs, it's about to be a different game. But she sends me all the messages, man.
Okay.
So much love. For my family. I think that's one thing that just holds me down and keeps me going. It's been my biggest inspiration since day one is having my family in my corner, and just being there every step of the way. So yeah, mom's is she's always dropping a little text here or there.
Shout out to Mom Dukes. That's the real MVP.
Yeah, shout out
right
to mom.
there,
Shout
you
out
know?
to mom. Shout out to moms.
Now, I looked at the roster and this team's pretty stacked. They got Javier Hernandez, Carlos Vela, and even your teammate, reigning Golden Boot winner, Valentin Castellanos. Like, what player on that team are you most excited to team up with that made the actual roster?
Oh man, that's a good question. You know, I have so much respect for all the players. Get to see these guys in day out, play against these guys, but being able to share the same locker room, share some stories, team up and like go up against the best opposition from Liga MX. I'm really looking forward to playing with, I think, Andre Blake. It's another goalkeeper. Shout out to the goalkeepers, man. Like, there's a mutual respect for goalkeepers across the game. We know what it's like to play the position, and then to see somebody excel. He's also a black goalkeeper. He's Jamaican descent.
Nice.
You know, we played against each other probably like 3-4 weeks ago, and it's always a battle. But ultimately, to be able to share a locker room with somebody else who does what you do at a high level, I think
looks like you at the end of the day.
Yeah, exactly. So like to have two of us there,
right?
And Dane St. Clair as well as the black goalkeeper. So 3 black goalkeepers in the All-Star game is like,
love it,
man. We're getting somewhere, you know.
Exactly.
Yeah.
Pushing forward to the culture for the most part.
No doubt.
Speaking of the culture, I noticed that the MLS was trying to tap into hip hop. You know, they recently, they did a commercial announcing the matchups using a Q-Tip's Vibrant Thing, which is a classic. And I want to say Yo Gotti became the part owner of DC United. I wanted to know how impactful hip hop has been for soccer players like yourself that's in the locker room trying to get ready for games and for practices.
Yeah, I would say, first off, I mean, the aux is important in the locker room.
Of course.
So whoever's on the aux, you better bring the heat, or else it's game over. You'll never be allowed on the aux ever again. So, hip hop has a big place in the game, man. And I think you're starting to see more and more, especially the league, embracing it. Right, like, you know, you have so many influencers, ambassadors for sports teams. You know, I look back because I'm born and raised in Atlanta, and Atlanta, you know, came into the fold, I think 2017, 2018. And I think when they came to the league, they really, really revolutionized kind of like how people perceived sport. And I think that's amazing. You know what I mean? Like New York, same thing. You know, we had, rest in peace, DMX at one of our games. We had, you know what I mean, like Burna Boy, like guys coming through that really brought the culture.
Right.
And Atlanta did the same thing. LA's doing the same thing. So you're starting to see hip hop take over. You're starting to see sports owners now across sports like basketball. Your James Harden, Kevin Durant. So you're really seeing that culture flow in. But yeah, man, it's amazing to see the league really embrace hip hop, embrace the culture, and I think you're starting to see a little shift. So it should be dope, man. Like I'm excited for the direction of where the league's going right now.
Me too. Now, if you're able to select a minority owner or ambassador for NYCFC other than Jay-Z, who would it be and why?
Who would it be as an ambassador in New York? Trying to think if I could keep it compressed to New York. You know what? It might have to be Diddy because Sean John.
I was.
You know what I mean? Like
the correlation is right there.
Might as well. He's had a hand in a lot of things. And you talk about hip hop influence with Ciroc and Sean John, and you know everything for the culture. And you know you think of New York. You know Diddy's in the conversation always.
Of course.
You know obviously you got your Jay-Z, but. You know, somebody like that, I think, really speaks volumes to what New York is and has been for the culture. So, you never know.
You never know.
Yeah.
Listen, he's about to bring back the brand.
Yeah,
it's only right he makes you the first model.
That's
Diddy,
what I'm
listening.
saying. I'm not putting out a plug, but I'm just saying if he's listening.
Diddy, if you're listening, get that contract ready, man. Come on, it's only right. Spin the block on my guy.
100.
Now. As I pay attention to watch soccer games, especially with, if it's on Telemundo or ESPN, I notice that fans tend to utilize certain chants in their native language and whatnot. Like some they come with flares and it look very hostile, like it's like a scene from Armageddon. But I want to ask you, if you could pick one song that your home crowd of NYCFC would chant while getting y'all hype during the game, what would it be? Like, would you hear For a prime example, like whoa, being chant while the game was going on, that would get you hype.
Yo,
How would that
actually,
affect you?
actually, so I have one because
Okay.
growing up, one, the basketball culture and always having like
Yeah.
hip hop played at games, which I think would be really dope.
It
Like,
would.
You know, our sport's been historically quiet during the games, but I think it'd be dope to inject some like hip hop
Yeah,
during the game,
yeah.
like jazz it up a
Yeah.
little bit.
Right.
But Archie, we ready? If the whole crowd
Oh,
started chanting that,
yeah.
that would get me crazy hyped. And I used to do that, you know, in the basketball gym. You know, we ready, yeah.
We
And it
ready,
starts to get higher and higher and higher. It starts to really build.
Yeah.
That'd be dope. That'd be
Yeah.
dope.
I mean, like I could hear some Pop Smoke trying to, creep into
Oh
Yankee
yeah.
Stadium.
Oh yeah.
Maybe welcome to the party, trying
Yep.
to imitate intimidate the Portland Timbers and whatnot when they come into Yankee Stadium.
Trust
Well,
me.
we should try that.
Trust me, because like we have, our DJ spinning before the game, but you
Yeah.
walk into like Philly, they got Meek playing. You walk into Atlanta, they got their artists playing. Same thing with us. So people have to know it's New York when they walk in the stadium.
Hey, listen, you need that go-to guy like the Nets have with the old head that be distracting players from missing free throws. I'm your man. I start a random Jay-Z chant to get the party started.
That's what we need. Somebody's just got to take the reins, man. Just be the first
Why
one.
not?
That's it.
Of course. Now, what's your top 5 go-to tracks you listen to in order to get you hyped for the game?
Yeah, that's a good one. So I could just rattle off right now what I'm listening to. Let's go with Jimmy Crooks.
Okay.
That's a hot track right now.
Of course. 21 Savage did his thing.
Yep. Churchill Downs. That's a vibe. Butterfly Effect is my joint. Travis Scott.
That's a classic right there.
Yep. What else we got? I would say, Frozen. Got little baby tracks go hard.
Definitely.
What else? Track number 5. If I had to pick one more track, who would it be? You know what? I'm gonna go Vintage Wayne because like I think a lot of people don't really know on my team because they're younger.
Yeah,
But
yeah.
Vintage Wayne, like mixtape, Drought 3,
Dedication?
Dedication mixtape was fire too.
Of
Yo,
course.
all the mixtapes, like
Yeah.
we really need to run it back. But yeah, I would say probably something from the Drought 3 with Wayne because it's a little something that a lot of people haven't heard in time, but
Definitely.
it went hard. So
Definitely.
yeah.
Definitely.
Yeah.
Speaking of going hard, I gotta ask you this difficult question right here. If you was a GM of expansion MLS team, who would you pick first, past, present, or future? That would be your franchise player.
You got to bet on yourself, right? So it had to be.
I love the
it
confidence.
Probably have to be me, right?
Love the confidence.
I mean, if I said anybody else, it'd be probably an issue, right?
Right.
No, we have to start building with me first, and then we could build around because I think being around for 13 years, you kind of understand what the league's about.
Yeah.
You kind of know, and then maybe once I'm in place, I can sit down with the GM and talk about let's strategize, let's get the right guys in,
Right.
And maybe be an influence that way. But yeah, I'm 100% always going to bet on myself. So.
I love the confidence. Now, if you could compare your soccer abilities and your intangibles to an NBA player dominating the court right now, who would it be and why?
Yeah, that's a good one. I'm probably the last line of defense. So I'm thinking about maybe somebody that's a kind of a team leader that just really gives his team that energy. So I probably have to say like Draymond a little bit. I know Draymond's hated, but ultimately he's the one that's kind of getting the job done, doing a little bit of the dirty work. And at the end of the day, whether I'm liked or hated by other guys and other teams, like I do what's necessary for my team to get the job done. So,
but you're that extra spark that your team needs.
Exactly,
to motivate.
exactly. And whatever they're needing on the day,
right?
No problem.
Right.
Yeah,
I love it. I love it.
Yep.
So that I'm gonna put you in a scenario. Gold medal match.
Yep.
Is on the line. It's a penalty kick, and you have to secure a save in order for Team USA to win a goal. Who would you want to face against and why?
Who would I want to face against if it was on the line?
Yep.
And why? So this might be putting someone else in a spot where like,
Hey.
man, they can't deal with pressure. Or let me see, who would I put in that spot? You know what? We just played the Portland Timbers, and we had a final at their place, and that's one of the toughest places to play. So
Right.
it might have to be one of those guys because I mean that's the last shootout we had, and that's probably the freshest on their minds. And,
Right.
I'm just saying, like,
So
that's
it makes it basically a mental.
it's a
thing when it
mental
comes-
thing. It's a mental thing. So
Got
if you've
it.
already been there and done it, I mean, why not run it back? You know,
Ooh, I love it.
that's
I
all I'm
love
saying.
it.
You know, like, you can take it how you want to, but that's just me keeping it real.
I hear that. So when if somebody like Prime Pele or Prime Ronaldinho say, "What's up, Sean? I want to see if I can score a goal on you."
Pull up.
Ooh.
Pull up. Yeah, nah,
Listen.
those guys are greats, man. You know, you really want to share the field with those players, no doubt. So all respect out to those guys. They really changed the game. I mean, you talk about soccer and what it was, and they kind of bridge a gap for our generation. So be able to step on the field with Ronaldinho, to take a penalty kick against Ronaldinho, or Ronaldo, or Thierry Henry was playing in our league not too long ago. He scored a few goals against me, unfortunately, but sharing the field with greats, man, like, if it's a PK shootout, if it's just jogging around the field, you'll take it. You'll take
Definitely,
it.
definitely. I want to spin the block on what's currently going on with your career, especially this season with NYCFC. You know, you're currently the MLS Cup Finals MVP, which is a huge accomplishment. I salute you for that.
Appreciate you.
You know, you helped lead the team to its first ever title, which is another huge accomplishment. Can you take me down that path in which how's life treating you ever since you was able to accomplish those things in such a short amount of time?
Yeah, man. So it's crazy to think, December we were lifting a cup, and here we are over halfway through our season this year.
Right.
Everything has flown by so fast. You wake up the next day with the cup, and you're like, man, this is real.
Right.
And then a week later, you see the cup again, you're like, yo, like, you just got subtle reminders, like, you got to just make sure, right?
Yeah.
And we fully enjoyed it, man. The city embraced it, as you said. It was the first championship in like 10 years in the city. The city embraced us in a tough time. We were coming out of the pandemic, coming out of COVID, and
Right.
We went to City Hall, had an event, and really, it was really special to see what it means to New York to actually bring a championship.
Definitely.
And ever since. There's been a lot of love for the players, a lot of love for our club, but I think more than anything, I think now it's like love is turning into, yo, y'all better run it back.
Exactly.
Stop playing games. Like,
expectations there,
right.
basically.
One time is not enough.
Not at all.
We need more. So we're definitely trying to do that.
I love it. Now you're playing at pretty much a championship hall like Yankee Stadium, especially during the most coldest season of the years for the most part, which is December. And I want to ask you, what was the most challenging thing throughout this playoff run that you had to experience, weather-wise, physical-wise, or even mentally?
Ooh, weather-wise, honestly, we play in all sorts of conditions, man. We just got back from, I think, Dallas. It was like 102 when we were playing. That's probably the second hottest game I've ever played in.
Wow.
102. With the national team, we played in a game in Minneapolis, I think in February, and it was, I think, 4 degrees, and then a wind chill like -2. So, like,
this is the reason why I'm not a soccer player. You got it.
yeah. It's trust me. Yeah, we grinded out in the conditions, man. But yeah, I would say through the playoffs last year, honestly, the coldest game we played in was in Foxborough. So against the New England Revolution, where the Patriots play.
Right.
Same stadium where the Patriots play.
Goodness gracious.
It was I think it was like 18 degrees. Yeah.
I just caught chills just picture myself out there with y'all. And
it was cold. It was cold.
Yeah.
Like, anybody that told you it wasn't cold was lying to you, man. Like, once you get going, like, you just really lock in on the soccer. But anybody who plays in conditions like that, you're cold. You're cold.
Definitely. Yep. So right now, NYCFC is currently second in the Eastern Conference standings, which is dope. Have you felt any pressure knowing that night in and night out teams are just gunning for y'all because y'all the reigning champs?
You know what? I think a lot of teams would take that pressure in a way and not be able to handle and deal with it. I think we've always been a team that's been so hungry for success, and to finally have that, I think everybody kind of hit that reset button and wants that success again. So I think we kind of look at it as, a privilege to step on the field and know that every team's going to give us their best.
Right.
Because we got to bring our A game every single time we step on the field, and there's not a single team that doesn't have us locked in on the target. So
right.
Yeah, man, it's been a really good year in terms of how, like, my teammates are prepared. the mentality to not just, because everybody says like there's a hangover from winning a championship,
Yeah.
and you start the season slow, and there's all these narratives, but I think we kind of shrugged that off, and we're like, yo, let's get back to it, because if we want to achieve something, like there's no time to waste.
Exactly.
But you're looking back halfway through the season, and you're at the bottom of the table, but we're positioned right at the top, man. We got a tough stretch coming up, but if we handle business in the next few games, I think we have a really good chance of putting ourselves in a position to run it back. So
Love it.
That's the aim, that's the goal, and
Hungry for more.
that's it, man. That's all you can ask for, is being on a team with guys who are always hungry for that success.
So
sure.
Since you was acquired from the Atlanta Dream in 2017, you pretty much was dubbed the heart and soul for this franchise. How were you able to bring that grassroots hard work mentality you grew up getting familiar with in Georgia, and want to have that kind of energy and staple into the locker room in NYC?
Yeah, man. I think my roots being in Atlanta. You know what I'm saying? Grew up there, lived my whole life there before going to college, and then signing professionally. But I always go back every year, always touch back home, go back and see the fam. That's where I go back to reset.
Right.
I think all my values, everything that I know, was from Atlanta, and ultimately, it's just a grind. Atlanta's one of those places where you see a ton of artists come out, but they start from in their house, in the basement, in the lab, and that's just kind of how I think about it. Is nothing's really ever been given to me,
right?
And so it's really taken that mentality to New York, and I think it's a perfect place, perfect mix to mix the mentality of, nothing's been given to me, we got to go get it. And I think being able to give that to my teammates and just let them know every day they come in, it's time to work. We're not here to just mess around and enjoy the fruits of last year. Nah,
right.
We got it. If we're gonna do it, we got to work. So
right.
I think that's the most important thing when I think about Atlanta and how it's influenced my time here in New York. But yeah, that's a big one. My parents were big on that. Like definitely. all the values that I have. Shout out to the parents again, because then it's like 20 years later, you're like, that's why my parents wouldn't let me do X, Y, Z.
Right.
Or, that's why I had to lock in and do this and that. But yeah, man, we're definitely moving in the right direction. But Atlanta influence is there for sure. Nice.
My final question before I let you go: 10 to 15 years from now, you see yourself MLS Hall of Famer, 3 more MLS championships under your belt, MLS MVP. What song or what artist will best describe your legacy you left on the field?
So years from now, let's say Hall of Fame. That's crazy to say. I hope that'd be an honor, massive honor. Repeat champion. That has to happen. I think that's the top of the list. That's something I can control right now.
Right.
If I could look back, if there's one song that I could choose to sum up my time, that's a good one.
We got all day.
I would say, you know what, like considering where we are now in New York, in this city, a song that just dropped, and this is by no means putting myself in a category, but City of Gods. You want to be viewed as something that someone that was so meaningful to the culture, to the city, and be something, someone that when they talk about New York, you know what I mean, your name's included in that. That would be that'd be special.
I must say, I'm really, really curious of checking out your playlist, because the music selections you've just been dropping on me, I'm highly impressed.
The music playlist is there, man. I haven't been kicked off the aux yet, so we're still going strong, man.
I'm feeling the vibes. I'm feeling the vibes right now. So I'm going to let you enjoy your Friday. It's been an honor talking to you. And until next time, ladies and gents, thank you for tuning in to another version of the Scoff Chronicles. It's the Black Ron Burgundy, Smooth Guy O signing out. Y'all stay blessed. Don't scoff.